we're here on we've got a special guest today. We've got Krista Raymer of the Vetrina Group, the Vetrina Group. I don't know why I stumbled on that one. I didn't at the beginning.
It's not even a word in English. It's fine.
Yeah, right. So we've got Krista Raymer here representing Canada. We have the Hall of Flowers event coming up in just a few days, September 13th. Krista, I'm really excited to have you on today. This is the first ever standalone Hall of Flowers event outside of California. You guys are making history by bringing what I have described as the Super Bowl of cannabis events, or the college championship of cannabis events, to your guys' country up there, up north. And you're doing it in, I believe, what's the biggest city of Canada, correct? Toronto?
It sure is. Yeah.
Well, you guys are making some big moves. I'd love it if you could elaborate a little bit on who you are, what you're doing, and how this all came about.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it makes sense to start with like how it came about. Is we have been in cannabis for the last 3.5 years. And, during the pandemic, I was like really sitting here in Toronto and saying, how do I go and see something interesting and new that is happening in cannabis? Like, where's the innovative stuff going on? Canadians love to look to California. So I booked a trip to California and it lined up with Hall of Flowers. And so I said, oh, I've got to be at Hall of Flowers. So we went to the event. And after touring some stores in San Francisco and in LA, and when we were at Hall of Flowers, I was like, you know what? Some of the most innovative stuff that we haven't seen before in the Canadian market is actually happening at Hall of Flowers in the way that this conference is set up and the interaction that it's creating between retailers and brands. Yep. So why don't we bring this to Canada? So I kind of stalked the CEO of Hall of Flowers and said, I think we should be bringing this event to Toronto. And I think it's going to help close the communication gap that we see between retailers and brands. And here we are a year later.
And that is so powerful for someone to literally look. So this is what's so crazy, and why I was so excited to work with you on this episode is because very few people have the capacity in cannabis to take a step back and look at how they can improve the industry around them, how they can physically help other people. A lot of the industry is built on how can I get my weed to grow better? How can I get it sold? How can I sell it faster? How can it sell better at my retail? How can my retail chain get every margin and get all the advantages that I need to succeed, right?
Yeah.
But for you to take a step back and see like, man, what is our industry missing? What is our community missing? How can we improve that? To me, I have a lot of respect for that. And so I'm personally very excited. I get to fly out there to Toronto, go experience your guys' industry, your community as a whole, and see what things are all about. We have some very interesting data points here that you talked about when we were doing the description for the video. Could you talk about some of the people that are and the brands and the numbers that, surrounding the event?
Yeah, I think what is interesting in the Canadian market is that we have provincial wholesalers that looks totally different than in the US. And so there's somebody that is actually helping facilitate the relationship between the purchasing and how the inventory shows up at the retail store. Okay. Now, in that, we saw a huge communication gap. And so we said, you know what? In our experience with working with cannabis retailers and brands, we've got to be able to close that communication gap. And we're like, okay, we need to get some of the best brands in Canada into one space. We need to get as many retailers as we can into that space and start to level the playing field in terms of having everybody have access to the right people in the right place at the right time. Yeah. So we've got more than 150 brands that will be in attendance and accessible for retailers as they travel throughout Hall of Flowers. And then we've got more than 270 retail banners that actually represents more than 1,300 stores across Canada, which is super, super cool because, that's more stores than you even have in California. Yeah.
Now obviously California, 39 million people, I think 100 to 200,000 people moved out last year. It's the first time ever some shit like that happened or whatever. People are hating it here. But that many people, right? That's roughly comparable to Canada as a whole, correct?
Yeah, your population in California is about the same as
it's insanity. And what's crazy here is you have all these restrictions, you have all this stuff. Canada isn't as easy peasy, all happy-go-lucky as everybody thinks it is, and just in the news. There's a lot of brands, there's a lot of stores, there's good product. We obviously, all the different industries have various forms of recalls. And so I love what you're doing about bringing all these different groups of people, a lot of them industry leaders, into the space to help to help even the opportunity to help distribute some of this, we'll call it community network wealth, so to speak,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like we have federal legalization in Canada, which I'm sure a lot of the industry in the US would like love to be able to see. We have inter-province commerce even, which is also incredibly cool compared to
Crazy.
what's been happening in the States. But we have pricing compression just like you do in some of the core markets like California, Colorado, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
We have very specific regulations around packaging here because of Health Canada rules. And so it makes an environment that is really difficult to operate in. And to your point, I think like there were some early winners when the industry first went legal that are not really showing up as winners now. And there are brands that are being created either both on the retail as well as on the cultivation side that are getting a lot more traction with customers because they have the advantage of seeing what has played out in the market so far.
Yeah.
I would say from my experience in working with both Canadian and American companies, we often forget to look that like we have 3.5 years of experience in Canada in the rec market. We had more
Mm-hmm.
medical experience before that. And so, yeah, it is an example that we can look at in terms of what some patterns have shown up, especially
Yeah.
when we start to look at new states as they open and what we might see in terms of patterns around product availability,
Yeah.
pricing compression, and what happens when we have density, whether that be stores or brands and markets.
All these people, you said about patterns, and I want to expand on that because
Yeah.
as a retailer, we often get sucked into this echo chamber of I run my own playbook. What I do does. I don't even want to shop at another person's store. I don't even mention that brand to me across the street. But what the reality is the more info you share between the two of each other. This is why in college sports, at least the way they used to do it, is the coaches would actually trade film and give them the opportunity to practice and become the best version of their teams, right? And I think by having this intercommerce or this interchange, this exchange of information, this exchange of network, as I said earlier, it creates the opportunity where people get a little bit more of a balanced playing field to some regard. And because you still got to act on who you know, you still got to follow up and be consistent and go kill it or whatever, right? And so just the patterns of this, you guys are creating a central location in the biggest city in your country to give people the opportunity to come learn, to come meet people, to come find and identify opportunities to grow either as a person, professional, or retail, right? Because ultimately it's about the sales, right? That's what this industry is. It has to make money to exist and to keep it going at the end of the day.
Totally. Yeah.
So I'd love it if you would expand a little bit also on maybe some of the brands that are coming. You mentioned you guys have a lot of different brands. If there's any of the ones that maybe Americans might recognize, or even some larger chains or some bigger brands that are just, maybe just better known, however it works out there. But who are you? Not to say you're not excited about everybody, but who's really like, oh damn, like let's go, we got them.
You're really putting me on the spot. It's funny because it's like we have some brands across Canada that are really well known in the US, maybe because they were some of the first movers or publicly traded companies,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to be there. But I would say some of the brands that I'm the most excited to see are actually some of the smaller companies who are starting to develop products with a very particular group of customers in mind and who
Yeah.
are looking to attract really specific retailers that are also speaking to the same audience. So I'm a big fan of a company called Bazam, and they have awesome products. They will be there. The Collective project, which does some beverages, which are incredibly cool from a flavor profile perspective, will be there too. And I'm going to give both of them a shout out.
Shout
And
out to those brands, personal faves. You probably use those items, huh?
oh, I use those items. And
There we
then
go.
you're also going to see like an American brands like Wild there, which has only recently entered the Canadian market.
Yep.
And so we're really excited to have like a good mix of who is there and what types of products are available for retailers to explore while they're there too.
I love it because I was recently in Canada for Shambhala Music Festival. I was there, Salmo River Ranch in British Columbia. It's like north of Spokane by about 2 hours or so. I visited two dispensaries while I was there, and I spent $600 at the two shops. I went hard. I bought all the stuff that was best of the best. I am so excited to come be at Hall of Flowers and see
What's your
all
like?
kinds of other brands and products. There is great weed in Canada. California has good weed. It has great weed too. Canada does have great weed. I want to make sure I'm an American over here. I was living large over there at Shambhala with cookies, with a brand called Black Market, and as well as local stuff that was over there from British Columbia. I tried to buy stuff that was local and said to be the best. And I could find that. I could shop like how I shop here. And it
Mhm.
gives me goosebumps to know that you guys are going to be taking that already great experience for someone like me, someone picky, someone who's trying to spend money, who wants a really great experience. You guys are curating something that's going to take it to another level for so many brands. 1,300 retail stores attending this event in total, right, across all these brands. You guys are going to have major impact. So I have to here's the clap, the slow golf clap, the flowers for doing it. Cannot I cannot say it enough. I'm so excited for you guys, and I'm an honor to be able to attend.
It's not just us, it's like the whole community deciding to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like only a success if people are showing up and looking to be collaborative. And we knew that from the get-go. And so it's taken a lot of collaboration also with other groups here to be able to make this happen. Like we've had some of the tech providers and POS companies, for example, who work with these retailers on a day-to-day, help us in the communication of the event and getting everybody on board with like what Hall of Flowers is and why it's so special, because not everybody knew what the event looked like or feels like. And so
Correct.
we're really excited for everybody to get a first taste next week.
Imagine the first time a Canadian went to some not to say there's not like Six Flags out there, right? Like I don't know what kinds of festivals and conventions and amusement parks you all have, but imagine the first time someone went to one in Dubai or crazy one in America and their just mind was blown. When I first went to Hall of Flowers, I likened it to what it must feel like to be an athlete at media day in the NFL before the Super Bowl. The air, the vibe, the energy, you physically can feel it, right? Whether you're at a booth, whether you're a buyer walking through, it's a whole unique, different beast. And the people that are going to attend out there, I hope you guys are ready. We put together this custom episode just to build the hype and help you guys understand how impactful this can be. I have made at the Hall of Flowers events that I've been a part of in California, I've done easily $1 million in sales because of those relationships selling products to these people that I've met. You have to maximize it. You have to take
Wow.
advantage. You have to say hello to people. You have to talk to people. So
It
here's
is.
before we have a few more minutes. We wanted to keep this a shorter episode. I wanted to get a little bit of extra value in terms of your perspective for the people that are going to attend. You obviously physically attended, and it inspired you to build and create this yourself as a partner. So,
Mhm.
you mentioned some partners before. Who are some key people, some key shout outs you want to show love to in terms of helping come this together? And then I
Yeah.
also would love it if you could share what your thoughts are for how people should take advantage of this come this next week.
Totally. Okay. So I think like the first and biggest shout out needs to go to the Hall of Flowers team who like believed in us right off the bat, right? They
Yeah.
are incredible organizers. And I will say, like, we've done a couple events in the past, but from a perspective of curating something and making sure that there's enough space for people to like hang out and what that means and like thinking about a vibe was a differentiator for sure. So that one as an immediate shout out. Our friends over at Headset and Canometrics were super helpful in being able to reach retailers. We have been super active. If you haven't seen a lot of the work that we've done so far, but there's a guy named Jay Rosenthal.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really been incredibly helpful in connecting with all the brands and us having the conversation. So those guys all have been incredible.
Powerful.
I would say what it is to come to the event and be successful. I asked my team this because the first time I went to Hall of Flowers, kind of went alone, and then I brought my team to the one in Palm Springs. And before we went into the event, we said, "What does success look like? when we finish our day today? And what are 3 things we want to achieve? And those 3 things needed to be really, really specific. So it wasn't just like, oh, we want to meet new people. It was like, no, we want to meet a multi-door operator within a specific region, for example. And these are the things that we're trying to achieve in that.
You're looking for a treasure hunt. It's like Easter egg hunting or treasure hunting. And it's like, nah, that's not good enough for me. I'm really here for this.
Yeah. So going into Hall of Flowers, it's like, what do you want to achieve? Ultimately, like, what's the definition of success going to look like? And within that, then it's like, what are the very, very specific things? Because I never really thought this before, but I'm starting to become one of those people that I think like you can manifest it, you'll make it happen, or you'll figure out a way to find it.
Top of mind.
Yeah. You've got to be really, really specific with what you're looking for. So if you're a retailer and you're coming, be really specific with what types of products are missing in your assortment. And if you're a brand, you need to be looking for what type of retailers are going to support your business in the way that you want to move forwards with. So who's in touch with your best customers, and what does a really strong retail partner look like? And that doesn't necessarily always mean just revenue or velocity.
So we want to strategize on who your target is, first off, what are your real goals? Who's your real actual target conversation? Who you're trying to really get to? Because I can talk to you, and just because you're ancillary, and maybe you just talk to 5 buyers when you walk down that row. So that's what's exciting about this event is right, left, in front of your face, the business card on the ground. It's all valuable potential contacts, right? It's all valuable in terms of who you're talking to. It's just a matter of, do you know what you're really going for? Do you know what your goal is? I want to add an additional layer to what you just said. Brands that go in with a rigid game plan, or they go in with a rigid sales strategy, like if they're trying to get shops, if they're trying to meet buyers, if they go in with a rigid plan, there are so many other brands out there in a saturated micro event, now in a super saturated space, that if you're not listening to what's going on around you, and you just run your playbook and you don't pay attention to the other deals, you don't walk around and adapt from day 1 to day 2, you're missing. So strategize and plan. Take the game that Krista just shared, add in a couple layers of who you want to talk to. What are we really going for? What's a win? What's a real series of wins look like? And then understand that, what's it take to succeed with those people? Listen, be aware of your surroundings. Walk around and pick up sales sheets and menus. Pick up all the stuff and look and get a better understanding of what's happening. This is a very valuable opportunity for people to network, but also just to learn, to truly level up in multiple areas. So,
and I would say it would also potentially help you and identify where your differentiator is super, super strong, right? Like if you notice that there is a trend and the entire industry is talking about something and you're talking about something else that is still relevant to the customer, then why not focus on that more, even if you also feed into that other kind of like trend item. So it is a lot about being able to identify kind of what can help you stand out too.
Absolutely. Again, a huge for them to be able to walk around, network, listen, sponge it all in, and that, ultimately just gather in these perspectives and data and get a better understanding of the market. Everybody, I hope you guys are tuning in. This is a great conversation, man. Krista Raymer here representing the Vetrina Group, the group that brought Hall of Flowers to Canada as a partner and is empowering the entire community, taking on a lot of the workload, probably financials. Who knows how crazy it is to put together an event of that size. But sitting here on my end of this conversation, Krista, I really appreciate what you have done. I thank you for your time today. Before we get on out of here, do you have anything else you want the people to know? Is there any key information? Do you have some exclusive drop that you're doing? Do you have a surprise? Is there an announcement? What do you got for us before we get out of here?
No, I think what's going to be really, really cool is that we actually have had a number of the provincial buyers there, which a lot of people aren't necessarily anticipating. And those provincial buyers are often the people who are making decisions about whether the product is available in market at all. So to be able to get those people all in one room hasn't really ever happened for this industry. So probably something that people aren't anticipating, but will play out on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Hey, big things and a lot of magic set to happen and unfold. Everybody, this is your boy JP checking in live, man. Respect my region. We are at the end of episode 8 here on season 2. Today's special guest was Krista Raymer of the Vetrina Group. talking about Hall of Flowers. It's their first standalone event outside of California. It's going to be hosted in Toronto in downtown. So if you're in Canada and you want to make moves at a high level, definitely visit the website. Krista, what is the place where people can go to learn more or to participate or last second maybe get involved somehow?
Yeah, all of the basic information is going to be on Hall of Flowers website.
Okay.
But if you want to explore grabbing tickets, want to even maybe exhibit, don't tell the team at Hall of Flowers, they'll kill me. You can reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, Krista Raymer.
Beautiful. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. Make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe. Please be sure to tap in with Krista on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Definitely visit the Vetrina group and halloflowers.com for any questions and information you guys might need. Thank you, Krista. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.